You're listening to Fandom, where I, your host, RJ Skeens, my good friend and co-host,
Patrick Jorgensen.
take a deep dive into all things pop culture. This week, we are going to be delving into the latest installment in the ever-expanding universe that is Star Wars. Today, we are going to be discussing Obi-Wan Kenobi with our co-host and guest,
Marcus Lorienti. I'm the dumb this week.
I probably know too much. Obi-Wan's my favorite character.
In the whole Star Wars?
Probably, yeah.
Has that changed over the years?
Ahsoka Tano is up there, but it's Obi-Wan Kenobi is just top notch.
Oh, now we're all of a sudden we're just bringing random people into the fold, huh?
People
I don't even know who Ahsoka
years.
Tans is. I could soak my toes anywhere, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And that's why I'm going to have to force you into the Clone Wars eventually.
You get it? Force me. All right, enough of that. Too much.
Nice puns. All right.
Jedi mind
so,
tricks.
like I said, Jedi mind tricks. Yes. So today we're going to be watching episode 1 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. You guys want to skip the recap, or are we going to watch it?
The recap to episode 1?
Recap. Well, in episode 1, it's like the recap of like.
Well, yeah, let's watch it. This part is always nice because this was the first part that I was like, oh, the feels, because they're like, we admit that the prequels were a thing.
For real. They finally gave it some acknowledgement.
It also does help because, I don't know, it's, you want to remember where they came from.
Absolutely.
So because they acknowledged the previous ones and put them into like movie Mount Rushmore practically, do you rate the later movies higher than the older movies due to their importance?
Are you talking about like 4, 5, and 6 versus 1, 2, and 3? Or
yeah.
No.
Okay.
4, 5, 6 still the best.
Oh, absolutely. 4, 5,
think,
and 6
though,
are still the best. 5's my favorite.
Yeah.
3 is my second favorite.
I think that most people found that over time, the prequels became more vindicated just because of Disney. My personal opinion, though.
That's understandable.
Absolutely.
But just listen right now. So right now we're listening to just the whole visual of the recap of like episode 1, 2, and 3, and they put super epic music to it, which is interesting. It's not Star Wars music. It's like epic trailer music, which really adds a lot to it. I'll be honest. Like this was probably, as far as the first episode goes, this is the most hyped I was. I was like, oh, I know this part.
Yeah, when I saw this, I was super giddy. I was so excited. I won't lie.
Now, for me, I hadn't seen Star Wars since I was I would say probably like 9th grade of high school. So
Yeah.
Getting this recap was definitely a great refresh for me, and it like pointed out all the main scenes I really missed because I was really just looking for like all cool fights and like all that kind of force powers and stuff like that. So I didn't see the deeper plot that went on. So this really like showed me what people were getting into. And I was like, okay, I see why everybody was like going nuts over this.
It definitely hits all those emotional beats. I'll tell you what, watching it right now.
It really did. They definitely played on a lot of
real question. Would you rather look like Anakin or Darth Sidious?
Ooh, Anakin or Sidious?
Anakin. Do you mean as Vader suit? Yeah, I'd take Vader suit.
Like as soon as he gets out of the lava.
Huh.
Ooh,
Sidious for
they
sure.
were both post like
Really?
pretty
You want to look like a nutsack?
I mean, dude, better than being like having without the
crispy.
suit, dude. What's he gonna do? Crawl around in like absolute agony or just look gross?
He without the suit, he'd be dead. It's a life support.
Would you rather be Sidious's power or Darth Vader without the suit's power?
Oh, wait. So, like,
If-
okay, I'm not going to get into what ifs, but I'll say right now, I know Sidious is like more powerful than Vader. But if I was going to like have one or the other, I would go with Vader because he has
Same.
like he has a higher chance of finding immortality in his lifetime than Sidious does.
Ooh,
This intro, basic as fuck. That's my first qualm. It was like cool to see, but you're Disney. Have something that's memorable for fuck's sake. I'm sorry.
dude, I think what they should have done, yeah, it should be like a starship. You know the old thing where it was like the little shooting star going across the top? It should be some sort of Star Wars-esque part of that, you know?
Agreed.
I don't know.
The Jedi in sync choreography at its peak.
Now this kind of makes sense. It's like you don't want to get them into the, you know, they had that first scene in episode 2 where they had all the kids, you know, learning and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of all right. So this is the one thing that I thought was kind of whack. Is this has never really happened in Star Wars, but the shaky cam action is a little bit like, what the heck?
It was a little jarring at first.
Yeah,
it,
I don't think it's bad,
don't
especially
know.
like
It
watching
kind of
this
made
lady
you
fuck
feel
shit
like
up.
a youngling, honestly. I think that's kind of the perspective they were going for. But like then there's that right there. So like not a
Yeah.
youngling.
I think that it's definitely up to how you want to do it visually, but
It is it's not bad, but it was definitely an interesting choice to make.
oh, and did you also notice that these were actual people in costumes or the clone troopers?
For
That
real.
yeah. And for the most part, all the clones in all of episode 3 were completely CG.
Yep. Episode 2, they were complete CG, and episode 3, I think they were all CG except for maybe a couple of them.
Well, if Tamora Morrison was like walking around without his helmet, maybe. But yeah,
But I
I
don't
like the
know.
foreshadowing of that scene though. That was kind of cool.
For real.
But I think my biggest struggle with Star Wars so far is like trying to keep in mind, like, even if I hate certain shit in this series, I feel as though I have to keep in mind it's not made for someone in my age category who wants like really super deep,
yeah,
like cinematic plot and everything. This is made for like kids and adolescents who are getting into the Star Wars
Yes.
universe at this
See,
point, and Star Wars
yeah.
has been made for kids.
I
had
think
to-
they
yeah.
should have like both of those medians. Like they have to remember that people what started Star Wars were the fans in the 1970s.
Oh yeah,
My dad's 50 now.
Yeah.
You want to make stuff that will be able to target that 50-year-old audience. Something more
Exactly.
mature. And
Yeah.
that's honestly what I was really hoping from Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I mean,
Right.
there are some aspects that are kind of serious, but it doesn't all like hold.
It's also
True.
because it's not like Sony picked this up, it's Disney. And
Yeah.
that's definitely another child type of thing. But the thing is, though, is that Star Wars was always marketed for kids. It's just the fact that, like, when we were kids, the kids who grew up with Star Wars were now adults. And so
they
now
felt
we're
the
in
same
the
way that
shoes of them.
yeah.
yeah.
Which
Which
is
is
like,
the
we've
grandparents are
seen
seeing
Disney make a gritty Star Wars that's
Oh, yeah, if
runs
they did
and
that,
can
oh
be
my.
adult. Like if they'd made Obi-Wan
should.
Kenobi like Rogue One, it would have been fantastic. It would have blown me away. Not to say that it's a bad show because it's great. I enjoyed it thoroughly, but
Yeah. So, and of course, like one of the things that I have to say about, well, like, okay, so now they're on Tatooine. Right now, what gets me here is the fact that there's just like, there, you know, when you see like the background, you know, like Mos Eisley or wherever this is supposed to be, Anchorhead, I think it's supposed to be like scuzzy looking, and it's still an outer rim planet. The Empire's not at their peak, like whatever, but there's all these like people who are walking around who look like they are just like such softies. Like they don't look gritty, there's a lot of like, there's not a lot of like, I don't know, like it's not that hard to make scuzzy.
When in episode 4, like as opposed to walking into this cantina, as opposed to the cantina in episode 4, there's a lot of grungy, dirty looking characters.
Yeah,
And
it's like
when we first walk into Tatooine, it's packed and it's just cluttered. It doesn't look tidy.
Yeah.
This is definitely more tidy, and I don't know if this is Mos Eisley. I don't remember exactly.
And it's just like, look at all these like humans who look like they're like more, it's just people who are like, I don't know. It doesn't feel, I don't know. I don't know what to say really, I feel like there's like a cheapness to it that I can't quite place. Like, you think that lady's going to be hanging out in Mos Eisley? You think that she's lived on the streets of Mos Eisley? There's so many humans in this scene, like so many people.
There weren't enough aliens.
Yeah, and like, I don't know.
Yeah, and Tatooine's a place where people go to hide. Like you'd think there'd be more shady characters.
Yeah, and like right now, everything that you see is all these like nice. These people look like they're gonna go home to their family and be nice to each other. Not like they're gonna be intergalactic smugglers or fucking, I don't know. So Jake, I need you to talk more about the Inquisitor here, because me and Marcus, especially probably Marcus, doesn't have any clue what this is all about.
So yeah, the Grand Inquisitor here, he was introduced in Star Wars Rebels, and he wasn't in Jedi Fallen Order, but the Inquisitors themselves were. They are basically like force-sensitive people who have been hunted down by the Jedi, previous like younglings, things like that, or just other children who they had found who happened to have force sensitivity, and they abducted them and forced them to do like the dark side, into the dark side. I don't know exactly how all it played out, because I always think of the rule of 2, but I guess they're not full Sith.
Yeah,
they're just dark side users.
I feel like they're a loophole so they could still have like underlings and
exactly. So they can still have people to manipulate.
And that is,
but like, oh, go ahead.
I mean, all I was going to say is it feels like that's the trope of Star Wars, where they're just like, well, we need, because at first it was like Obi-Wan and Yoda are the only two that survived Order 66. And it's like, well, there's Cal Kestis, and then there's this guy, and then there's all these other people that we want to have.
Yeah. And now there's Ezra Bridger, but like, no, I understand.
And I mean, like, that's just how you keep it going, especially if you're not going to continue on, or you're not going to continue the story, and you're going to keep it within the realm of the movies that we do have.
If you think at the end of episode 3, Obi-Wan changes the beacon to tell all Jedi to, don't come back to the temple. This time is over. It's time to go into hiding. And so we don't know who else survives, because we don't see them come to the temple, and we don't get that. So, I mean, we never knew how many, powerful Jedi were out there that actually had survived, or were Padawans who could have escaped because of the sacrifices of their masters.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It is one of those.
Not all of the clones turned on their Jedi. Some of the clones, like their inhibitor chips, malfunctioned.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like, you need to partially distend belief to continue watching and believing, but it kind of,
No, absolutely. And that's how I've decided to go into look like all Star Wars from this point with Disney, is like, I'm not going to go in with any expectations that I'm going to suspend all like disbelief, I'm just going to accept it for what it is and enjoy it.
And it's
Star Wars, and Star Wars. Yeah, it's Star Wars, and Star Wars is really never taken itself entirely serious.
That is true. All
I
right,
mean,
now
there's yeah, go ahead and continue.
yeah. So now we've got, okay, so this is kind of our introduction here to Reva. And why is she so, I don't know. There's this.
She is just so angsty and just angry. She's got a very short fuse. And I mean,
Now,
I'm not going to talk about it yet, but we'll get there when we get there.
now this always made me wonder why he stopped her from actually killing him.
Yeah, I thought that too. Because he probably wanted the glory of killing him.
Yeah.
That's kind of the Inquisitor's thing, is they're like, they all want to be the Grand Inquisitor. It's like a constant battle between the Inquisitors.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like if one Inquisitor's hunting a certain person and another Inquisitor happens to show up on planet and like, you know, searching for somebody else who ran into that Inquisitor, they'll start beefing. Like, it's what's for dinner tonight.
Beef
This thing
manta
right
ray.
here, this giant sand manta ray, I want to know what it's called. And I want to see one alive.
I also
don't
just
wanna
like,
know what it smells like though.
well, also like, yeah, what, like you're wondering what sort of industry, like what happens when they're like, oh, the manta ray's gone, no more manta ray.
Probably it makes you wonder if they hunted it.
Yeah, it does kind of. I mean, it looks like it
I
did
once-
get shot down and then they kind of did a
Mhm.
curve. It's not like it was just like, whoop, this is where I'm gonna die.
It could be like a crate dragon, right? Wait, no.
What?
Yeah, the
I think you're right though, because it, like when you see the trajectory, it looks like it smashed into the ground, like it got shot.
yeah, I don't know. It definitely, yeah, it looks like it was probably hunted.
Now it's funny because if you were to tell me, if you were like, nothing that I see when I first see Obi-Wan here makes me think that this is a Star Wars film. Like I'm
Or a
just like,
Jedi.
yeah, you could be like,
I
you know,
agree.
Cloud Atlas with Ewan McGregor.
You're not wrong. The only thing that really made it was this, that told you it was Star Wars at the beginning was, well, the title and then the lightsabers.
Also, there's nothing but
The
wusses
talk of
on
Jedi.
Tatooine, apparently. Like this guy's like, I got nothing I got a family.
like-
Like I think it doesn't, it feels so hollow from what everything that like was supposed to be on Tatooine. It's like you got hut gangsters, you got like outlaws, you got like, you know, you go to the subway in New York and you just inundated with like different cultures and like,
Yeah, and that's what
pockets and
Tatooine's supposed to
sketchy
be.
stuff.
Look at one alien,
yep.
2 aliens, no, 3. Okay, 3.
And it looks like I would
Sitting
rob
there,
that alien. I would straight up rob that alien. I'd be like, give me all your fish meat, fool.
She looks soft.
Yep. I think
Like,
that's
you're
just the one thing that I've got an issue with is how
I
soft
mean,
everybody
yeah,
looks.
they're butchers, but yeah, you're right. Everyone on Tatooine just looks like they're a bunch of pushovers.
And I mean, that's, of course,
Not
I
hating
feel
on them,
I
but,
feel
you know,
bad because it's me projecting like my expectation onto it. But there is, and I keep going back to, there's this cheapness that I can't quite put my finger on. That's like, this is Disney and they have all intellectual property rights. They should be able to go back and be like, let's emulate what was going on.
those
And I-
streets look so empty. Yeah, look,
And
look
it's
how big
so
that
many.
is.
Yeah,
There were no people there.
I do
very-
agree that it's so, yeah, expansive, but
Yeah,
nothing's really
like,
there.
I enjoy the sound. I enjoy the use of it, but it limits them. in a lot of ways because it's not the biggest stage, and so you can't have tons of people on it.
Well, right. And I feel like they have all this money in the world. And it's like, how much money does it really, like, once you've bought, what's that thing called? Their little sound stage, surround sound. It's called the Sound.
I'm pretty sure it's called the Sound. Yeah.
Like, once you have that, like, I could understand making it like, small environment, not like small environments, but some environments. But like to use it for basically everything, it felt like this was kind of interesting. I'll give it that,
Cool.
like,
I liked it
because he's on a real thing, doing a real stuff. I don't know if that's real, but it looks like actual rock. See, this part totally makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah, I liked how they did the Jawas, right? He freaking
like he just kind of creeps up and he's like, I got all this shit that I stole from people.
And even you.
The good old T-16 Skyhopper model or whatever.
Yeah, I like that throwback to that shit because that's the one we see Luke playing around with in A New Hope, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I do gotta say, I think Ewan McGregor carried this series all the way through. Him and Leia.
Yeah.
The actress who played Leia. A little girl did a good job, I think.
That's because, and I hate to say it, they're the only two characters of which we give a heck about, like,
Mm-hmm.
And I won't lie. I think that they could have done it in a way where they didn't have to make Obi-Wan such a sad sack. Like, it's just like, it feels like we're watching the Star Wars Episode 8 over again. And we're like, oh, this is Luke, and I don't like the Jedi, or I'm not. That was the old me.
It makes a lot more sense for Obi-Wan than it did for Luke.
Yes, I will agree with that.
Because he in the Clone Wars, before the Clone Wars, he watched his master die. During the Clone Wars, he watched the love of his life die, Duchess Satine, and murdered by Darth Maul in front of him. And at the end of it, all of his family, the Jedi, were slaughtered, and his brother, he basically he thinks he murdered. It's like, dude is traumatized. I'm surprised he sleeps at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of me, it's just like I've seen all this before, and I feel like okay, this feels like a film school thing where they're like, we need an arc. We need an arc, So they really wanted to make it like we go from this, far from, what should I say? Let's take him from the deepest recesses, and then we'll bring him back to the happy-go-lucky. You're not happy-go-lucky, but the more positive Obi-Wan figure we see later on in the episode 4, And it feels like I don't know if you needed to do that. I think what you should, I really thought that Obi-Wan's whole thing would have been like, he was pining to like make a move and to like, train Luke. And he was like, after a while, got kind of like, too old to like really want that. And so seeing him at this point is kind of just, I don't know. I was about it, but
I can understand. I think it should have taken place earlier. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I think Luke and Leia should have been like 6. It should have been 6 years after.
Yeah. Especially then they have some time to kind of forget like the broad memories of because like it kind of makes sense for Leia to be.
Forget. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say it kind of makes sense for Leia to like know who Obi-Wan is just because like her and her father, and she mentions that and all that.
Mhm.
Like it makes sense for that. But yeah, if it was at like 6, which Leia in this series looks like she is versus 10, like
Yeah, I'd say Luke doesn't look 10 years old either.
no. Yeah, like 10 is a 5th grade.
It's almost middle school. It's just about a teenager.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
How long till the next movie trilogy?
Who knows?
I'm not 110% sure. I think
I-
Jude Law's working on
On a trilogy of Star Wars?
something for Star Wars. I think it's a trilogy. I gotta be honest. I know the name Jude Law, but I don't know what they've done.
He was
Yeah.
in Cloud Atlas was the last one I remember him in, I think.
It's funny is because you used that as a reference earlier.
Yeah, I did. I didn't mean to either. I don't know why I said that. Oh yeah, this was all right. This is kind of weird. Like you're like, ooh, we're going throwback to the Jawa scene.
Mhm.
See, this seems again, I know he's worried, but also I feel like he should have given him more, better advice. Or like part of the series should have been like it should have started off with him helping this guy figure
It
out
really
what
should
to
have,
do.
yeah, helping get off planet.
Because that's the thing is like in this series, they throw a lot of people out. They're like this guy and this guy and this guy. And then like you see them, they really only have like one purpose. And it's like to get Obi-Wan through a blockade or to, be comic relief for an episode.
To remind Obi-Wan of the Jedi.
Yeah, right? Like,
What happened to you? A lot, bud. A lot.
Yeah.
Apparently you missed the recap at the beginning of the show.
all right, that part, this part kind of
626.
makes more sense. He's like, what happened to you? But I don't know. It was the same thing where it's like with like Luke, you're like, come on, you idiot, do all the Yoda shit, do all the stuff that Yoda did for you when you were getting trained, and then like just forgets it. We got 10 minutes left on this.
Okay, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We just got to Alderaan. We're at how far in?
So this
23.
part, I have to say, I enjoyed it. Like
I did. I enjoyed this.
it also like makes you
'Cause
like
it-
feel
Okay.
bad. This is the first time where you're like, you feel bad that Alderaan gets blown up because you're like, what a beautiful ass place.
Oh, dude, it's so beautiful. Like if it were not blown up, that would be the planet I would choose to live on. Out of all
Well-
planets in the galaxy, it'd probably be Alderaan. Like, look at that. It's booming.
All right. And do you remember that What If Star Wars episode 1, 2, and 3 was good series?
Hmm.
There's a point in that where the guy's like, why make it Naboo when it should be Alderaan? And you're like, yeah, you're like, okay, that makes sense. And then it's also like, oh, we need a reason to feel bad when Alderaan gets blown up later in the movies. And it's like, you never see that. So then you're like, okay, like all you get is Bail Organa in the episode 2 and 3 for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, he plays a nicer part, a bigger part in the animated series too. You don't never see Alderaan though.
Yeah.
This is like the first time they actually visit Alderaan. I mean, I think you play on Alderaan in like Battlefront 2, the OG one.
Pretty sure that's
Maybe.
just Yavin. I don't think he ever played on Alderaan.
No, it gets all snowy.
Alderaan?
In like the wintertime, it's like probably one of the caps. Maybe I'm wrong.
In Star Wars episode or in
Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2 in
I liked this part right here. I like the little droid. I always love the droids.
I like
They're
how
like
it's a freaking
pets.
Walkman.
Right? She's like, I didn't do nothing.
Yeah, I like, even though there's some parts about Leia's like part in this, I definitely think like overall I'd give it a 9 out of 10. It's also nice to be like, oh, you did have like an Alderaanian mother, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. I was wrong. I think it was Rin Bar.
Yeah. I was gonna say, trust me. Oh, I know.
It's a little freaking pickpocket. All right. So this like bounty hunter dude who was like hunting Leia. I just like, who is this random dude? I've never heard of him. We've never seen him. I think it should have been like another bounty hunter. I think it should have been like Aura Singh or like Cad Bane or something like that. A more prevalent face.
Yeah, because don't they?
And instead of just killing him off, because like, yeah, this is a senator's daughter.
Yeah.
Just gonna get a nobody.
And that's the thing is like, it feels like, not that I think that they should just keep on introducing like characters we already know, but like this guy's around for like a third of the series, not even. He's like 2 episodes and he's dead or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, they introduced a bunch of characters and then just threw them away.
And like, I don't know, this one was like, yeah, they kind of, this guy, like, he doesn't even, like, he looks like a good bad guy, but he doesn't, like, he acts like one of those, like, bumbling idiots, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I have to add in Owen. Owen, Obi-Wan, and freaking Leia carried this show.
Yeah, I agree. Owen did pretty damn good.
Owen, clap for him. He's a hard ass, just to put it lightly. Like,
Yeah, here's another one of those. Yep, look at all these people just milling about.
there's
in
there's a bunch
Tatooine.
of people, but there's like, look how not cluttered the ground is. Like, there should be more junk and shit. I mean, the buildings are grungy and blasted up.
It's just, yeah, look at all these people. Look at all these, like, and it's like a sad old woman. Like, nobody looks like they could actually, like,
Defend themselves.
yeah, it's like if you went downtown to, like, like downtown, and I mean, like, downtown Vegas, and everybody looked like a wussy. I don't know.
Yeah, you'd be like, what's going on here?
Yeah, like, I'd be like, yeah, if there was nothing but a bunch of, like, look at this Karen, like, literally right there.
I really enjoyed the symbolism of that right there.
Of cutting the hand off.
I mean, yeah, she's like, anytime you go to reach for something, you'll think of the hand of the empire, basically. Because you got no hand.
I suppose. Yeah.
Like, she like basically bit the hand that, well, it's not feeding her because they're in the outer rim, but she likes to think they do because, well, they're inquisitors.
Yeah, I just, all of this is just so, like, everything's on the nose. Like, oh, and then I ran into Owen, and now I'm gonna torture Owen or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you just choose this guy out of everybody.
I mean, she is force sensitive. And you can read people.
I suppose. It's just one of those things where it's like, I guess you just got to keep on like, I guess the force can keep doing anything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing too. It's just like you're telling a bunch of people who are like, I've never seen this fucking guy in my life.
So like, what are you talking about? Like, you
Like-
guys had the Jedi and you let him go.
It's hilarious.
See, like
Owen's just like
it's like
hands on
not.
his belt, just like a badass. That's,
Jay, can you speak to anything? I've heard a lot of people talking about how this is supposed to be. This dude is actually a character in the other series.
yeah, and Star Wars Rebels, the fifth
Yeah.
brother. Yeah.
And I've heard criticism about how he's not the same or it's different or
I mean, I liked it. I mean, I might just be biased because I like the actor. I think,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's not the like same voice or anything like that, but like it's the same with the Grand Inquisitor. They didn't look at their character. They probably didn't look at the character and like
I guess do they
imitate the voice.
embody the actual character from the other series though?
I think he did a good job of embodying that character of the character. Yes, I think so.
I have no idea, in all honesty, because I don't know. What is he supposed to be? The seventh brother or something like that?
The fifth, I believe, the
Yeah.
fifth brother. Yeah. One thing I am glad that they didn't do in this show. So their lightsabers, you know how they like spin around.
Yeah.
In Star Wars Rebels, they actually use them to fly, and I'm so glad we didn't see that happen in live action because it would just look really tacky.
Yeah.
Animated, I can let it slide because it's okay. Look, it's all right. Look at
Yeah.
you just can't make somebody fly with a lightsaber live action and make it look menacing.
Yeah.
They just look like Mary Poppins. They would have hit it with, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yeah.
Is he cool? He's the coolest.
Why are they driving a doorstop?
What they like to do is they like to take things from real life and then they turn them into stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep,
Like
pretty much.
the droid was a Walkman, the doorstop is the ship.
The
dude's-
comms in episode 1, 2, and I think 3 are women's razors. Kid you not? I like this scene. Well, I guess her, not this scene in particular, but her interactions with her cousin. So snarky.
That's a butter dish.
I mean, but tell me not, like when you were a kid and you like thought about the future, tell me you didn't think it would look like Alderaan.
I mean, you know,
That's not
something
like what you
like,
do.
yeah, it does have that utopian, we're on green energy, yada, yada, yada.
why does everybody look like they're like broke in the 1600s though?
It's called aesthetic. Call that aesthetic.
These are the yuppies.
They put the ass in the aesthetic.
Boom, mic dropped. She's got a lot of restraint not punching him in the mouth.
But she's supposed to be a princess. You can't just punch people in the mouth.
I know.
Not to mention, she threw fucking shade first, I'll be honest. Fucking giving manners to droids. Also, like, is he supposed to be like what, 14?
He's got to be
he's
like 13
definitely-
or 14. Yeah.
He's definitely like 10 times bigger than her.
I'd even be fine if they were like 7 or 8, but not 10.
Yeah. Say 9. Say 8.
8. 8. Canonically in our head, they're 8. Okay, guys. Let's just agree it doesn't. There wasn't 10 years after. It was 8.
I do like how they made freaking at least Bale, like, I don't know. Cause yeah, he was so kind of like held back in the other ones. And not that I was ever like really cared, but I was kind of like he
I'm
just
happy we
shows
got him to be more
yeah.
developed. Yeah, I'm happy. I've always enjoyed Bale. It's just he may not be a fighter, but he's a political fighter. You know, he's got some tact to him.
For like 10 seconds before it gets destroyed.
Right.
They looked at her. That was the last thing they saw.
She shouldn't have had to have apologized. She was
Whoa.
not in the wrong.
I didn't know that Pinky Promises came from a galaxy far, far away.
Now you know.
Oh yeah, this
Is she
part.
saying she's like Bale, or is she saying she's like Anakin, or she's like Padme? Because, well, we know
I think
Anakin
she definitely
and
means-
Padme both ran off.
I think they were making a joke that she's like Bale.
Okay.
Love how that orange shirt. I'm just not gonna comment on the ridiculousness of the Disney childlike
Disney
chase
child
scenes.
chase scenes.
Yeah.
Like, why is she being chased by a bunch of juggalos?
Yeah.
It's
I won't
just
lie, yeah,
you
like-
can see the stuntmen like slowing up to not catch her.
Yep.
I liked
Well-
her sixth slide though. She's got the moves.
Oh no, a tree branch.
Tree branch. Let me step on this and then fall.
Look at the freaking.
These are the most NPC motherfuckers I've ever seen in my life.
But they got like barely enough IQ to keep themselves going. Boy,
I also like.
what a shot though.
Yeah.
That should have been Aura's thing.
That's why
Wow.
they gave him the orange shirt. They're like, you're the only one with realistic reflexes and reactions.
Or maybe
See-
like Bosk. Bosk would have been too fast though.
I would also say like, just have him be like, when he's all like, "We're after you," and then she's like, "What?" and then they put a bag over her head and then call it good. Like, I don't know. You could have saved yourself 5 minutes and had some more interesting stuff.
Yeah, you could have just cut out the whole chase scene and just had her try to run off and then have her run down the hill into 2 people and then they grab her. Like cut out the silly running. This child's not gonna outrun these people, these adults. I don't care how force sensitive you are.
Yeah. I won't lie though, I think that this trajectory as far as like the series goes, like where he goes and he rescues her, was pretty, like, it was something that I would have never come up with. But I think that it's definitely like, it's good and it's creative in a way. I wouldn't have done
It's
it how they
good.
do it, but I think that
It's
the
good and
idea
I
is
like
good.
it. Again, I like what it does to the sequels
Yeah.
and to like Leia's character. You know, it adds more to him being her only hope. Like she knows him more like that, you know.
Yeah.
Which would make sense of why she'd name her kid Ben, as opposed to, you know, just she never even had an interaction with Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope.
Yeah.
The first time she sees him is when they see him get cut down. So I was like, why is she naming her son Ben? She didn't even know Ben.
Yeah.
She called him Obi-Wan Kenobi. This makes a lot of sense, and I liked it.
Yeah, it does make sense. I feel like the reason that they called Ben or frickin' what's his name, Kylo Ren Ben, was because oh yeah, the part where they hang him, but they don't really hang him.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? You got to make a different choice.
Also, like, how was he killed? Was he force choked? Was he stabbed? Where's the wounds? I don't see any.
There's no wounds, so he had to have been like force choked.
What were we just talking about though? Where I was kind of Ben. So because there was Ben Skywalker was supposed to be Luke's first child in the legends or whatever.
Yep.
And so that's where I thought they just kind of were like, all right, well, we'll pull from some legends to get, an idea.
I really wish they had introduced like Mara Jade and things like that.
Yeah.
That'd have been real cool.
Obi-Wan, despite being like, oh shit, there's somebody in my house, was kind of just like walk right in. How you feeling about it, Marcus, so far?
This was like a good reintroduction into the series and like to get to know characters again. But for the first like whole episode, I felt like it was just dragging because
I can agree.
it's almost like they had to set the foundation for what was to come, and that's always going to be a slow part. But ultimately, I felt like so far they've done a decent job with like showing how far away from the Force Obi-Wan has gotten, how like political the system has gotten, just like with the gatherings on Alderaan and all that stuff. So I don't know. I mean, for a casual Star Wars fan, it's going as expected.
That's good. Yeah, I was gonna say from the casual side, especially. So, what was your, what was your involvement, or your like, in what was your fan level of Star Wars prior to the Disney kind of takeover?
I watched like the modern day films back then, which was like, I don't know what, episodes 4 through 6, or was it
1 through 3?
Yeah, 1 through 3. So episodes 1 through 3, I watched those in high school. Decent. I mean, I wouldn't say I got like super involved in it, but I was interested in the series. Touched on some of the later films, just watched like some important parts, got the like, I mean, everything in mainstream media has like a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
Like portraying what it was like. So I mean, I could just watch a Family Guy, a Futurama, and a fucking like King of the Hill take, and it literally told me the story of Star Wars. So when I watched the movies, I was like, oh, I've seen this before. But I mean, those were good. I feel like those had better storyline, but I also feel like the modern day films lacked that feeling of newness that Star Wars brought to culture in the United States. Like everybody was like super intrigued with like space travel and everything. So that's why they were like into Star Trek. But I think Star Wars took it to that next level of like, hey, we finally have something that everybody's like hyped over. They want to see this storyline, and I don't know. I was intrigued enough to want to watch this. I'm not like intrigued enough to go to like a convention or anything for Star Wars if it was in my town.
Yeah.
So
Can we talk
casual.
about Star Wars or Skywalker fanboys right now tripping out and freaking over Obi-Wan burying his lightsaber in sand?
I did think that, well,
He'll never find it.
I thought it was weird, but I'm glad. So in that visual guide or whatever they used to have back in the day for Star Wars episode 4, 5, and 6, there was a thing where it was talking about the box that Obi-Wan had, like kept his lightsaber in, and it's that box, or it looks like that box. So I was like, good for you guys for doing your research there.
I did appreciate that.
Now, as far as like Reva's, that's where I think it got kind of hazy, where she's like, I know how to bring Obi-Wan out. Let's do the one like Bail Organa was the way to do it. Like,
Yeah,
I guess it's, they're just like,
I mean, he did have connections to him during the Clone Wars. They were friends. They communicated, I guess, if you'd call them friends. But it was a stretch.
also, what the heck's up with the deal
Like
with this lady just
if
being
they
like,
had known, if it was that easy to get the information that Bale had been a Jedi sympathizer, like they would have taken him out.
yeah.
I like the soundtrack.
Yeah. The Obi-Wan theme is is done by John Williams. They did use the original one.
Nice.
Which is funny though, because everything else I have to say was really lackluster. Not to be that guy, but
yeah, the first episode, so that came to a wrap. I mean, I liked it. As Marcus said, it's a slow episode. I think the buildup was kind of slow. For being 50 minutes long, you could have done more, but I think overall it was good. Like you say, I think one thing I noticed, I think they used a lot of the same extras in a lot of the scenes, and it just really took away from like making it feel like a big, huge city, like you were saying.
yeah, there's
Just doesn't feel very
there's
diverse.
there's just this like, I cannot place it, but there's like a, like, not a, I say cheapness, but I guess like it's almost like they, put up, it's just so hollow. It's just like, look at all these people who I don't believe are actually there, like
Mhm.
that. I was kind of
Like,
commenting
why are they
about
all
that.
just standing around? Like, they should be working or manning a stall or something like that, selling something.
Or like, if you look at all the guys that were like, everybody in like the original one, we're all kind of walking or going somewhere, and everybody else is just kind of like chit chatting, and like, or they're like slumped up against the side of a building or something. You're like, oh, you must be, fucking drunk or something like that. And this one's just like,
Yeah.
everybody's, and there's so many humans. And I think that's what also throws me off, where I'm just like, all these people who look like sad sacks are just like, I just want to live my life. I just want to, you're like, I don't believe that you could be like literally living at a spaceport, basically like ready to go bounty hunt right after this.
Yeah. I wanted to go to the point in Attack of the Clones when they first show up on Tatooine, but it won't pull it up for me.
Yeah.
Because it's.
But I think for where it is, the series, this episode, it sets it up well, and it obviously puts a lot of like things in play. So you're like, okay, like, as far as dragging you in, if you care about the series, you're like, I want to know what happens to Leia. I want to know where, Obi-Wan ends up. I want to know how, Darth Vader and everybody doesn't figure out that Luke's on Tatooine, because obviously they can't. There's a lot of unanswered questions. The only problem is that it stems from everybody. It's like if you didn't, have you ever watched like the Harry Potter films?
Yes.
So did you read the books beforehand?
Not all of them.
So when you're watching it and you hadn't, like, did you ever watch the movies before you read the books of any of them?
Yeah, I think I watched the number 2 and 3 before I read the books,
Okay.
and then read the books.
Because the whole thing for me was just like, it really, like, the Harry Potter movies and all that are really good if you already kind of know the story and you can fill in the gaps in your head. You're just like, oh, and then they did this, and then they did this. And you kind of
Right.
are able to bridge it. If
Yeah.
you were just somebody who is new and you're just like, you know, like, who is this lady? Who is that lady? Like, the only problem is that they're always like, you couldn't be a non-Star Wars fan and come into this and then like know what's up with Obi-Wan. You'd be like, this guy sucks. I don't care why does everybody give a fuck about him? You know, all these
You're
people
not
like,
wrong.
I could see that.
They're like, why are
So-
we following this old guy
yeah.
who's
So-
cutting fish feet for a job?
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't think that, you know, like, wherever they put him is fine, because like, no matter what, like, you've got to introduce him somehow. I just think that there's a lot of like things that you could have used to make this more interesting to people who had no idea who he was. You know, put him in some more scenarios, especially because, like, imagine being like a goody two-shoes Jedi on a planet full of scuzzy people. Like, why does he know that it's a scuzzy place unless he's like, I guess I'll go down to the bar, and it's like, oh, there's a bunch of all these bounty hunters are always, you know, dragging poor innocent people through here that like aren't
Like,
being bountied. Or I don't
In
know.
episode 1, did he go to the race, to the pod race, or did he stay? He stayed.
No,
on
he
the
was
ship
on the ship the whole
huh?
time.
Yeah, so it's like he really doesn't ever have any other experience on Tatooine other than just being on the ship.
Yeah, and like
To that
I
point,
could.
so it's like, yeah,
I think
maybe that's what they're planning for season 2. Maybe they're planning to do, like, you know, I don't know. There's still opportunity there. There's 10 years to fill.
Are they actually doing season 2?
I don't know. People want to see. A lot of people say they want a season 2. I'm like, I'm indifferent. If you do a season 2, you have to do it right. You really have to do it right.
Well, and they already put all the good juicy stuff has already been like figured out, unless all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're gonna have a third encounter with Vader, and oh, we're gonna have a. Unless you do that, like,
spoiler for 5 episodes from now, but he, you know, at the end when he actually finally makes the connection to Qui-Gon, I mean, we could get some cool Qui-Gon training and shit like that, some Jedi meditation. I don't know.
yeah,
Hoping
I
some
hope we
like
get something if they come up with
making
that.
him like a sheriff or some crap around Tatooine.
Yeah,
You know, he's got his connection to the Force back. He's helping people in like the Dune Sea or something like that. I know it's not the most interesting, but
we'll see. And personally, because I mean, not that I'm all like, I had the idea to do this, but I definitely had told you about, like, you know, I think that's where I have the biggest problem, is that I, in my
Tell
head,
us all.
already knew how I would write an Obi-Wan series. And it would have been more, they're just, never mind. I can't even with Obi-Wan. I can't even with this.
Not bad, huh?
That I wouldn't say that bad. It's not that bad.
Like,
It's
it's
just-
good, but it could have been better. It really
It's-
could have been. It could have been so much better.
And like, the other thing is, like, I'd like to just say it feels cheap. It plays on all these like tropes that we've seen a million times, which I guess is part of the Star Wars like framework. So I can't get that mad. But then on top of that, there's no stakes. The stakes aren't there for even the because, like, okay, one,
Yeah.
we already know the outcome of everything. So, or like for the most part. So what I think they should do, or should have done, spoiler for everybody who hasn't seen it. If you haven't seen it, you should go get a goddamn TV. Is
It's
just
been out for a little while now. Get yourself a Disney Plus.
yeah. But the point is, like, all that they do have other characters in there, that they could have made. You could be like, oh, I hope that this person doesn't get chopped in half, or I hope this and that, because you already know, like, there's no tension because, or at least mostly no tension because you're like,
Obi-Wan's gonna live. You know
Yeah.
Leia's gonna survive.
Yeah.
There's, you know,
Luke, they're
Bell's
obviously not going to find Luke because they never come and murder him, that sort of thing. So when you have all these other characters that you just start throwing out there, like, well, Reva, for instance, like, when they
like,
actually
there's
start,
stakes there, but it's like,
but it's almost not, because at the same time, she's just like, I think it's because you can call it, you know, every single beat. And like, I think that up until now, pretty much like episode, like at the end of episode 2 or whatever, like this one obviously ends, and I think that it's a solid establishing, like it establishes everything you need to know.
It does a good job establishing it. It could have been a little quicker paced, but that's all right.
Yeah, that's beside the point. Like, we could have, it wraps it up with a nice bow, and you're like, all right, what's he gonna do next? Yep.
No, absolutely.
Nope, we should just leave it with that. I don't need to talk about any of the further episodes because we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us for another episode of Fandom Podcast. I'm your host, RJ Skeens, my co-host over that way,
Patrick Jorgensen,
and our good friend and our co-host,
Marcus. I'm still dumb.
I'm dumb too.
I'm
I
almost
can't
no
point
better.
the right way. I'm
pretty
trying.
smart. I'm super smart. I'm the only one who knows anything about Star Wars.
I know nothing.
Fool.
I know nothing. Oh, look, that's weird.
That is weird. That was kind of neat, though. It like at first it had you sorta.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I feel so bad. I feel like I just shit on this the whole time. I'm not trying.
No,
to
that's.
do
I
that.
mean, that's it. You're laying out your opinion, and I'm trying to defend it. I'm trying to defend my love.
Yeah.
But no, it's all right. I mean, we're breaking it down from like a film's point, and kind of right.
Yeah.
Feels like it.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know.
Hey. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Glad you knew what I said for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, should we wrap it up?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's everybody.
All right.
Okay. So as far as the
Do
first
some
episode
more.
goes,
After go ahead.
opinions, like final opinions on just the first episode in a box all by itself.
Let's give it a rating. Are we doing 5 stars?
Yeah. Let's do that.
5 stars. All right. I'd give this one. Can we do half stars?
Yes.
All right. I'd give this one a 3.5.
Oh no, I'd do the same.
I'd
Marcus?
give it a 2.5, but it sets up a pretty good storyline.
Yeah.
That's its only
Yeah.
redeeming quality for me.
Yeah.
So why do you-
Go ahead, Marcus.
Why would you say that it's a 2.5?
Because it's really not targeted towards someone who's a casual fan, so it's harder for me to understand a lot of the nuances going on. So if it's for like if let's say that Disney was making this for someone that they wanted to reel into the Star Wars universe, it would be harder for them to do that compared to like one of the movies, because this has so much fucking, like, you have to watch like 15 hours worth of content to know what's going on in minute 1.
More.
15 minutes, bro. If you
Oh,
really
15
wanna know what's
hours.
bro, you've got like 100 some odd hours.
Yeah, because I was gonna
of,
say
like,
the reason.
there's the Clone Wars stuff that's tied into this. There's Star Wars Rebels that's tied into this, and that's, I mean, for Star Wars Clone Wars, that's 7 seasons,
Right.
and they're each
So,
like 26 episodes. So
just
that's
on
a lot
that,
on its own. It's like you either need to watch all of that or you need you and me.
Yeah.
for real. And that's why the lovely people come here to learn
Let's
Yeah.
hope
7
so.
seasons worth of content. But
7 seasons worth of content I've watched easily 4 times through, 5 times through.
That's impressive.
But yeah, that's why, just because from my point of view, it's harder to understand a lot of the stuff that you guys could easily be like geeking out over. Like there's certain animes where I'm like, call back, and I'm just like fucking shitting my pants, and then someone else could be sitting there like, I have no idea what just happened, but they're freaking out.
We can do this. Oh, God, sorry.
Oh no, I was just like, so that's why 2.5.
Okay, cool. I think I give it a 3.5 because it's just a little slow build up. I think the chase scene was lackluster.
Yeah.
I was gonna sneeze there, sorry. And so, but it does a good job setting up the overall story. I think her finding the connection between Bale was just a little ridiculous. Because if they knew that, like I said earlier, if they knew that he had a connection to the Jedi in the past, then they probably would have hunted him down and like tortured him. Like, yo, you know where Obi-Wan Kenobi is? Can you get in contact with him? They would have pulled that information out of him.
Yeah.
So that one was kind of iffy on my side, but other than that, I liked the episode.
Yeah.
I think Ewan McGregor carried this episode with Owen Wilson. Owen, I was gonna.
Whatever his name is.
Owen
Wilson.
Yeah.
Owen live.
And I'd give it a 3 just because of what Marcus said. I think that now I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like I didn't watch the Clone Wars. So at the same time, like I know who the Inquisitors are, or the Rebels or whatever. But at the same time, it's like they added a bunch of new stuff to the old stuff, to the new series that they want to bring us back to the old thing. And yeah, it just felt like one of those things where like, if I could kind of see all the beats coming, it's like, there's nothing to be entertained about. All right, guys.
Yeah.
It's going to wrap up here and it's selling. So.
All right. Well, check us out on Instagram at the Fandom Pod. That's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Check it out.
Word.
Send
Sweet.
MILFs.
Yes.
I'll leave it on that.
Monkeys I'd like to fuck. Okay. That was wonderful. I'll send all this to you, Jake. No.
Mormons, I'd like to fuck.
Mormons, yes.
Mothers.
I
like
milk duds.
Milk duds. I'd like to.
Mandalorians.
Yeah.
All right, let's leave it at that.
Magitoans.
Ooh, I don't.
That's a planet, right?
Mandalorian.
Yeah, Magitos. Magitos. Magito. I don't know if I'd want to.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, cool.
Bye.